This video is probably going to put me in this position with some women, but we're still going to do it. Hi there, welcome to Intentional Living with Meb. In today's video, I want to talk about something we see every day in society, but society has taught us to completely turn a blind eye and sometimes even flog that thing till it gets worse, and that is how men change after marriage. Have you ever looked at your husband as a married woman now and you felt this is not the man I married, or this man has become quieter, he's laughing less now, that exciting part of him is kind of missing in action a little bit, and then he's more agreeable, of course he doesn't want argument, or he doesn't want to explore as much as he did before you got married, right? Or he's just a bit distant, he now prefers solitude more than he does being either around you or around other people. Or maybe you're not even married, you're single, and you've noticed how men change after marriage. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not here to take sides, I'm not here to excuse bad behaviors, right, from men, but I'm here to simply shed light to something society has taught us to turn a blind eye to, which is how the overwhelm of carrying the burden or the responsibilities of being a man in a home can weigh men down so much that they change. Their personalities shift, their behaviors, their attitude and responses to things in general just change. Now the truth is, first of all, before a man becomes a married man, he would always be a man, an independent man, with dreams, with excitement, with hopes, with visions, with probably things he hopes to achieve in future, or the kind of outcome he wants to have in life. He has all those things, right? And then he gets married. Now he's not only thinking about an outcome for himself as an independent person alone. He's now concerned, burdened with the outcome of the future of other people, his wife and children, and sometimes the extended family. And yeah, at first, the thought of the whole marriage thing is exciting, but slowly and with time, the whole thing starts to sink in. All of a sudden, he has to provide. All of a sudden, he has to protect his family. All of a sudden, he has to be the priest, the spiritual head over his family. All of a sudden, he has to be the one who should know how to fix everything. I don't mean fixing things physically. I mean when there's an issue, the expectation is that you should know what to do about issues in the home. All of a sudden, these things come on him. And let's be honest, for most men, it's their first time being married, one. And secondly, when it comes to the burden or the pressure to prepare for marriage or be marriageable, most times, or in our society, we find that the pressure is more on women. Yes, it's more on women. You're told, oh, you have to learn to cook before you... Maybe times are changing, but as we grew, this is what we saw. You have to learn to cook, you have to learn to make the home. If you're lazy, you'll be told, is this the kind of attitude you want to take to your husband's house? Is this the kind of thing you want to do in your husband's house? You know, you have to learn this so that you can stay in your husband's house. But I never heard, really for myself now, I don't know about you, I never heard statements like that for men, for boys. So basically, society does not actually, in the actual sense, really prepare men for these responsibilities. And then the same society that does not prepare men for these responsibilities also tells men that it is weakness to complain, right? That is weakness to show your emotions, that it is weakness to be overwhelmed. That is weakness to be confused and not know what to do. Because as a man, of course, you have to know what to do. You have to have the solution. You have to be able to provide when the need arises. You have to be able to protect from everything that needs protection from. You have to know how to do these things. So same society does not essentially, I mean in the details from maybe childhood, does not essentially teach the male child or prepare the male child for marriage, right? Because the patriarchal society simply gives the male child that mindset that, okay, you're going into role, you're going in to be served, you're going in to be served food while she's kneeling, and all those traditional things that we had to grow up, seeing around us, right? That's the only thing society prepares men for. But unfortunately, being a leader, being the provider, being the protector, being the priest in a home, there's really nothing about being a dictator or a ruler there. It's all about service. And same society that does not prepare men for this level of service tells men that when they go into that place and it starts to overwhelm them and they don't know what to do, they don't know where to turn, they can't speak up. They have to swallow everything and figure things out and just bring up the money and just bring up solution and just bring up safety for their families, even when he himself does not feel safe. Do you see the problem? So when a man is probably tired, confused, overwhelmed, just shrinking under the burden of being the man in the home, there's nowhere to turn to. He just has to keep doing them. And he cannot complain about it. He can't, because how would he show that he's a man? How would he show that he's a strong man? How would he show that he's a perfect man when he starts to complain about these things? And to also think that, considering the big picture, men in general do not come to that place where they learn to be able to handle their emotions, or even because handling your emotions begin from being able to express or understand them, right? So when men are not taught to do these things, the society projects a lot of problem to these men, and so he starts to shrink, he starts to become distant, he starts to be quieter, he starts to agree on everything. He doesn't want arguments, he doesn't want a conflict. On the flip side, some men become easily agitated, they become irritable, they become wicked, and they are a whole different person from who they were before they got married. Not because they want to be that person, but because they are simply trying to survive. Nobody taught them any other survival skill. Nobody taught them any other way to get out of that rut of being burdened but not being able to speak up or not being able to take a break. And so they do all these things simply to survive. However, these things don't come without their consequences. They don't come without their ripple effect. So in the long run, his wife starts to feel like she's not loved, or she starts to feel probably she married the wrong person, or she starts to feel like things are missing in the home, things are not being done as they should. And if she grew up to understand that when things are not going right, then it's your fault. Of course, many women or many girls were brought up that way. And so she starts to overwork herself to make up for those deficits. And in the process of overworking herself, she probably starts to resent her husband. She starts to resent the marriage, and she starts to withdraw because she feels he's not meeting up, or he's different than he was when I married him, or he probably was just pretending, or he never loved me. Of course, it also affects the children. When the father starts to be absent, he's just trying to survive, so his subconscious starts to do everything possible just to keep him surviving. He appears like an absent father. He appears like a father who does not really prioritize his children, or who is selfish. So many things can play out when a man is shrinking under the burden of being a man. But how are we supposed to respond? How is the woman? Of course, we can't tell the children to respond in this case, right? So how is the wife? How is the wife? How is the sister? How is the sister-in-law? How is the mother? How is a friend supposed to respond to a man who changes in this manner right after marriage? So the first thing she can do is to practice empathy. Yeah, we can be quick to start passing blames around and start getting agitated that things are not getting done around the home. But the best response to something like this would be to show empathy. So first of all, understand that he doesn't exactly want to be that person. He's just caving under what his mind has taught him to be a survival skill. And so when you start to show him empathy, when you don't try to blame him or make him feel like the villain in this case, then you can move on to the next thing, which is teaching him to reach into his emotions and start to speak the emotional language. How do you do this? It's by reaching into your emotions yourself. So from time to time, ensure that in the home, you're not keeping your emotions back. You're giving them a voice, you're expressing them appropriately, so that you can teach him that it is possible for one to reach into their emotions, get stuff out, and fix things where things are going wrong. So you have to teach him. Men have been taught not to even understand emotional language. So you have to teach him. And how do you teach him? It's not by telling him, read this book, you need to watch this video. Those things might help. But one thing you can do that would make it a practical thing for him is to express your emotions yourself. Say how you feel, politely, of course. Learn to have difficult conversations that sound like, oh, this is how this thing made me feel. You know, when you said this, I felt this way. And by doing this, you're not trying to maybe blame him or you're trying to show him his fault all the time. No, you're teaching him how to give a voice to his emotions. So something else you can do is to make your home a safe place for him to be vulnerable and for him to be able to show his lowest point without feeling like he's being weak or he's being less of a man. And how can you do this? Creating a safe space, it's not safety for you, it's safety for him. So he has to be the one to be able to perceive the home as a safe space. And that anchors on trust. And of course, trust is not built in one day. Now, this is not the trust of, oh, I trust my husband trusts me. No, it's that he's able to learn that, okay, I can actually be vulnerable with this woman. I can be in my lowest. I can say that, oh, work is overwhelming, or I can say I feel less of myself when I'm at work, or I feel less of myself when I'm doing this or doing that. And you will not use it against me tomorrow. It will never become something you get to leverage on when you want to bring me down or when you want to gain a point over me, right? So that's just creating a safe space for him. So the third thing you can do as a wife or a sister or a mother to help a man who is being burdened by the responsibility of being a man is to remind him of his wins. Sometimes this change, this shift in personality, it might not be a permanent thing. It might just be something that happens at a specific time or is triggered by something. Probably he goes out and sees another man doing so and so for his wife, and he comes home and he becomes distant and all. It could actually be in such scenario. So what you need to do is to highlight his wins to him, remind him of his wins. You don't really have to sit with him like a coach, but find ways to bring up the things he's doing right. Find ways to subtly chip in the things he's done right. If you need to remind him of a project you executed at home and it was a success, just subtly bring it into your conversations when you notice that personality shift. Bring in those wins, remind him of the things he's getting right. And if probably there are no wins, just remind him of things that, that's flowing smoothly in the house. Maybe there's breakfast every morning. Just find a way. You don't have to be a coach, but find a way to let him see that, oh, you're actually doing well because there's breakfast every morning. Or maybe the children have never been sent home from school because of school fees. Find a way to just help him remember he's got this, he's doing well. Because the more you remind him of what he's doing well or what he's getting right or his wins as a man in the home, the less burdened he'll be about not meeting up or not being able to voice out in those places where he can't meet up. And the fourth thing you can do for the areas where he's not doing well. Now, this is not me trying to tell you to carry your husband's emotional load or whatever. I'm not asking you to excuse nonchalant behaviors or laziness or whatever. Don't excuse those things, right? But for the areas where he's not doing well, you can let him know without outrightly rubbing it in his face. Now, if it's something that has to do with your marriage or your home, you can present it to him as something we need to fix, right? Something we need to fix. Now, the exceptions will be if it's a character flaw, maybe he's hanging around the wrong crowd, then that'll be something he has to fix himself. And then you, of course, by wisdom, you should know how to present it to him that this is what he needs to fix. But when it comes to things about the home, maybe you guys need to buy a device or something and he's not able to bring up all the money, it's something we need to fix. You have to present it to him as something you both need to work on, right? That way you will not be exactly rubbing in, salt into the wound that has been created by his feeling like he's not meeting up or he's feeling like he's being overburdened by the responsibilities as a man. The last thing and the most important thing you need to do to help such a man is to consistently remind him of your love for him. Very, very important. You need to let him know that even if he's not really meeting up on some things, even if he feels overburdened by whatever is going on around him, being a man and all that, let him understand, let him know, let it sink into his subconscious that you love him regardless, right? And that the love you have for him is not conditioned or anchored on the fact that he can do this or he can do that, because marital love should not be transactional, just like the vows you took on your wedding day, right? So keep reminding him of your love for him. Let him know that, see, I understand you're not able to raise the rent alone or you're not able to pay the children's school fees this time, but I still love you. And to the man watching this, I want to tell you that you're doing a good job. As long as you're not a wicked man, you know in your heart that you're a good man, you are doing a good job. Staying silent or shape-shifting for survival does not really even help you fulfill those responsibilities. It doesn't make you stronger than you really are. All it just does is it narrows your chances of having a happy home or even fulfilling your dreams or your plans or visions for your home because of those ripple effects we talked about. And I understand that, of course, we've learned that men don't cry, men should swallow everything. But I need you to know that vulnerability is not weakness, right? Vulnerability is actually strength. And it is strength in the sense that you know that, okay, this is where you're weak. And you are admitting it. Admitting it not because you want to remain weak. Admitting it because you are ready to either receive help or get above that point. So don't stay silent. Even Jesus, who was God, needed disciples to accomplish his mission on earth. He needed people, other people, to walk with him. And even when he was just about to ascend, he still asked the disciples, he still had that vulnerable moment with them. And he asked Peter, he said, Simon Peter, do you love me? And Simon Peter said, yes, Master, you know I do. Then he said, feed my sheep. He asked him the second time. And he said, yes. He said, feed my sheep. He asked him again the third time. If you calm down to read that scripture, you see that was actually a vulnerable moment. He was like, I need you to do this thing. Like, I need you to do this thing. Jesus himself reached out and asked his disciples to partner with him to ensure that God's plans and purposes are accomplished on earth. So why wouldn't you do the same? When you feel overburdened by responsibilities, do well to talk to someone. Talk to your wife, talk to a mentor. Release that overwhelm, release that burden so that you don't become a different person to your family. So to the wives, show more grace. To the husband, learn to be open. It helps everybody. If this video has helped you and you know someone who it would help, please do well to forward it to them or share the link with them. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.